What is respectful relationships and consent education? Respectful relationships and consent education focuses on preventing gender-based violence against someone because of their gender. Teaching about respectful relationships and consent aims to change the way people think and act, as when people treat others fairly and with respect, it is less likely for violence and abuse to occur. In educational settings, such as schools and child and family learning centres, respectful relationships and consent education aims to challenge harmful stereotypes, attitudes and behaviours that lead to violence. Discussing this topic and some of the content in our resources can be triggering. 1-800-RESPECT is a free national counselling service available 24/7 that provides support across the country. Drivers of gender-based violence. Respectful relationships and consent education addresses the specific drivers that national and international research tells us contribute towards gender-based violence. We know that gender-based violence happens when there is gender inequality. Research has identified 4 distinct drivers. These are condoning of violence against women, control against decision-making and limiting independence of women, rigid gender roles and stereotyped constructions of femininity and masculinity, and male peer relations that emphasize aggression and disrespect. Alongside gender, there are, however, many other factors that also influence vulnerability to violence, such as ethnicity, race, sexuality, ability, and age. So respectful relationships and consent education in our schools is ultimately about supporting the well-being of all Tasmanian children and young people to live a future free from violence. Respectful relationships and consent education is about challenging the attitudes and behaviours behind these drivers. By targeting all settings in the educational space, we hope to create generational change. In developing the skills needed from an early age, consistently modelling respectful behaviour, and providing stability and support for children and their families who experience violence, we can foster the best outcomes for Tasmanian young people. For this to happen, it's important we adopt a holistic approach. This means our staff, families, and community must work together to reinforce key messages about gender and power and challenge the harmful attitudes and behaviours we know contribute to gender-based violence. Teaching and learning packages. To support you with respectful relationships and consent education, DECYP has developed 4 resource packages, as well as an online professional learning course to support teaching and learning in all our educational settings. Developed by experts, each resource is evidence-based and age-appropriate. There is one for the early years, birth to 5 years, one for foundation or prep to year 6, one for years 7 to 10, and one for years 11 and 12. All are publicly available at respectfulrelationships.education.tas.gov.au under Teaching and Learning. Each resource aligns to the relevant educational framework and required curriculum in Tasmania for the respective age group. Our resources adopt a trauma-informed approach. The structure of our resources all follow a similar format. First, each gives instructions on how to best use the resource, with guidance on how to create a safe, inclusive and supportive learning environment, including planning considerations, trigger warnings, and understanding available referrals and supports. It's important all staff delivering respectful relationships and consent education read this section, are appropriately trained, and have the necessary support in place to ensure their own and their students' safety and well-being. Following this introductory section, all resources then focus on 3 main areas or modules, with core teaching and learning content designed to challenge harmful gender and power dynamics. A program overview, or scope and sequence for the Foundation to Year 12 resources, is included within, with the remainder of each resource providing specific activities and experiences with teaching tips, ideas, and ready-to-use resources. The 4 resources are designed to be taught progressively, building on student learning year on year to develop the skills and confidence needed to have healthy friendships and relationships, communicate well with others, keep safe and recognise unsafe situations, solve problems without violence, respect themselves and others, and understand and promote respect and gender equality. Challenging questions or situations. When discussing respectful relationships and consent education topics, you might get some challenging questions or comments. Consider the specific situation and remember, child safety is always a priority, so be sure to know your mandatory reporting responsibilities. These instances can often provide opportunities for teachable moments to educate and raise awareness, reinforcing specific key messages that challenge those harmful gender stereotypes contributing to violence. Whether it's a parent or carer, a student or colleague, it's important to provide accurate and up-to-date information whilst maintaining both your professional and personal boundaries. Some important preventative measures should be considered before you deliver respectful relationships and consent education, such as: have you been transparent with your school CFLC community? Do all staff and your families know about respectful relationships and consent education and the content that will be taught? Have the resources been shared with them? Do all adults and students know how and where to seek support if needed? To have the best outcome for our students, it's important we all work together. Support from our leaders, colleagues, professional support staff, families and community is imperative to build a safer future for Tasmanian children and young people. To learn more about respectful relationships and consent education, visit our public website at respectfulrelationships.education.tas.gov.au.